Hey, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Southeastern Sports Network podcast. Robbie Rhodes with Mark Willoughby coming to you here, getting through the Thanksgiving holidays, getting ready for the new year to come about, 2025. And Mark, it's been another solid year for Lion Athletics in 2024. Football culminated their season. You get the men and women basketball teams rolling into the new year with pretty solid starts to their 2024 part of their season on both ends. Women with some impressive games that they've played well in, and women and the men have had some nice wins in the non-conference season so far. Football recruiting, the Lions had a nice little recruiting class that they signed, put together a nice little team, Mark, and we'll hit the transfer portal, I'm sure, heavy over the course of the next 40 days or so, 45 days probably, as they get ready to re-sign some players out of the portal, hit some needs, some veteran guys. They've done well with the portal, I think, in some cases over the last couple years, and they're going to need to do that again. As the big breaking news, I guess, about football, Mark, is Eli Sawyer, who did have 1 year of eligibility left, but he is, he's a fifth year. I think, is he a fifth year or a 6-year guy, Mark? I think he's a fifth year.
Fifth year, yeah. He came during the COVID year, right?
Yeah. So he is. He retired with 1 year of eligibility remaining. Just want to move on with his life. Had a very successful career here at Southeastern over the last 3 seasons, especially the 2022 year and this year, 2024. He's moving on. So there'll be a new signal caller for the Lions on line of scrimmage in 2025. Coach Selfo and Anthony Selfo will have the chance to pick their quarterback, whether it's a guy already on the roster or somebody new. So a lot's happened, Mark, in the last a month, I guess you'd say, when it comes to Lion Athletics, especially football.
Yeah, you packed a lot in there on that first initial question.
There's a lot that happened.
Yeah, but I'll touch on Eli first, since you mentioned him last. And we take our hat off to Eli Sawyer. What a great career he had. Loyal Southeastern Lion, had some big moments in a Southeastern uniform, and we were fortunate to be on the air to call those over the years. And, of course, obviously the one everyone remembers is the big win over UIW 2 years ago, the walk-off touchdown to C.J. Turner that set everybody off that night. But a big moment, had a couple of big moments this year as well. The SFA comeback, the touchdown to Darius Lewis, with 2 seconds left to play to win that ball game, which was a very pivotal win at the time it happened. A big comeback against Lamar, and then also the drive, the 5-minute drive to basically eat the clock and kick the game-winning field goal against Nichols. So hats off to Eli Sawyer. He'll be a loyal Lion forever. And, he's going out on his terms. I think that's always important when someone can decide when they want to hang him up, and he's done that. So as you mentioned, that turns our attention to the recruiting aspect of it. As you talked about as well, Southeastern had a good class to start in the December signing period, which was bumped up a couple of weeks. It used to be at the end of December. Now it's at the beginning, and still happening while football season's going on, while most people are still playing the playoffs. So Southeastern lost 14 seniors that walked their final game, and they signed 13. So basically, added back what they lost in graduation. Now we have to see how the portal plays out, if Southeastern has any players jump in, or how many they add. We know they're going to actively shop in the portal, but good class, I think, as you look at it on paper and you watch the video. And we have a matter of fact in the link in the description section when we post this podcast, I'm going to put a link to the video that we put together on the signing class. You get a chance to look at that. I know we posted that a couple days ago, but we'll have that in the link, the description section below. But good class. Southeastern added some high-level skill players at wide receiver and running back. Also, a couple of young defensive ends that look very promising, and a tight end. So good class overall. And now you jump in the portal, and with Eli Sawyer deciding to retire, it's going to, who's the quarterback? Is he on campus? Is it the young Jamarcus Pittman? Is it Tanner Murray? Is it Damon Stewart coming back? I mean, those guys will be here on campus, this spring, going through battle. Who do you add to that mix? There's a bunch of guys that have already jumped in. I know if you go by Twitter, and you can believe what's on Twitter, Southeastern's already offered, at least one quarterback transfer in the portal. Obviously, a lot of other schools will be in those in that mix as well. And it's hard to get them. I mean, just because you offer them doesn't mean you're going to get them. And again, get the guy you want. So, and then you have another February period. So that's the other thing too. And it could be another high school player. So that's kind of where we are in the football recruiting part of it. You touched on basketball, great start, or solid start by David Kiefer and Ayla Gazzardo. The men are 4-5 as we speak. Have already played a conference game, lost a tough one on the road on Saturday to Nichols by 3. So they've already dipped their toe in the conference to go back out of conference. On Wednesday, they'll take on the Cajuns of UL Lafayette. And Ayla Gazzardo's women's team, a good start. They were 5-2, lost yesterday to Houston out of the Big 12. But again, a solid start, some big wins already for Ayla Gazzardo. Southern Miss, Memphis wins. A tough loss to Quinnipiac, who's undefeated in Houston yesterday. So I think I touched on everything, but that's kind of where we are. And you got baseball coming up right around the corner that'll roll into the spring. And again, basketball, already in basically full force running here, and they'll jump back into conference play at the beginning of the month in January.
Also, Southeastern women's volleyball coach decided he'll move on from Southeastern, head to Liberty. We've had him on the podcast, Mark, great guest. And, we wish him all the luck in the world because he turned a cellar dweller when it came to SLU volleyball into one of the best programs in the country, especially in the mid-major world.
Yeah, Jeremy White, tremendous. I mean, you can't do a better job than he did here. I mean, the volleyball program was on life support when he got here. It was a single-digit wins every year, and not much success since Ronnie Armida hit. Had her team playing really well in the late 90s and into the early 2000s. But great job by Jeremy White. Got this program about as far as you could take it. Almost pulled off an at-large bid. Came close. I mean, they were, I think, an RPI ranked in the top 50s. Not quite enough to get them over the hump. They lost the conference championship game to Texas A&M Corpus Christi. But again, it's just tough to keep guys like that when they're successful. I mean, he's a rocket ship as a riser. But, word is he did want to stay. And again, just where the budget was, you can't match what Liberty was able to offer. And so I don't think we could get there salary-wise. So, again, it's a chance for him to move and his family. And I don't think that's going to be his last stop. I think we'll end up, somewhere, pretty big, the SEC, Big 12, SEC, Big 10. And just so happens, a guy I played pro ball with, my former roommate scouted with him, pro ball, his daughter plays at Liberty. He reached out to me, wanting to know if I knew him and want to know all about him. She's a setter at Liberty. So I told him, I said, look, you're getting a great one. And I think everybody's going to be happy with Jeremy White.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on who the new volleyball coach is for 2025, 2026. Sorry, that's not a crossover year, Mark. 2025, it'll be a new one to look to. Mark, as you dive into the FCS playoffs a little bit, the final 8 teams have been decided that will go at it this Saturday. You can watch some of the games. So there's one game Friday night. I believe that is Idaho and Montana State on Friday night, Mark. And then you have the 3 games on Saturday.
Yeah, the playoffs. I mean, I know we, kind of beat that dead horse a lot, but I don't think we really talked about it much since, the announcement. But obviously, really since the playoffs started, we haven't commented. But I think as you watch the playoffs play out, I think it was pretty evident Southeastern probably deserved to be in this field. Now, you're 7-5, like I said before. You're at the mercy of the committee, but I think as the field played out, we certainly, I mean, you can look at last Saturday, there's probably 9 or 10 teams I'd feel real comfortable lining up against that played on this past Saturday. Not just the first round, but the second round as well. And even a few guys that are still playing, I feel like we match up pretty well with. So, again, the playoffs are what they are. Very competitive. Games this past weekend. Incarnate Word had a close game with Villanova. It really wasn't that close. So it's probably the most lopsided 13-6 game you've ever seen. I mean, they dominated the yardage and, between the 20s, just couldn't score, drop some. I think he dropped like 6 or 7 passes, a couple easy touchdowns. But Villanova did nothing offensively. I think they had under 150 yards of offense or right at it. Mercer, Rhode Island was a close game, 17-10. UT Martin, and ran into a buzzsaw at Montana State, hung with them early, fell behind pretty big early, came back, and then just Montana State's too good. North Dakota State, Abilene Christian was a great ball game, closer than that score indicates. It was 51-31. Abilene gave up a special teams touchdown, turned the ball over, but had an early 2-touchdown lead, decided to fake a punt for whatever reason deep in their own territory after they allowed a kickoff return for a touchdown that sparked North Dakota State, and they kind of ran away with it after that. But that ball game was very competitive. Tarleton probably let one get away at South Dakota, another a Missouri Valley team. Tarleton goes in there. They're leading most of the way, kind of going back and forth. Had the lead late, just kind of got away from them. I think 4 interceptions was the difference in that ball game that Tarleton threw. Illinois State got blasted at UC Davis. Kind of didn't see that coming. Thought that game would be a little bit closer. And then Idaho-Lehigh turned out about like I thought. Lehigh hung in there for a while, but Idaho just a little bit too good for Lehigh. So that sets the stage for the quarterfinals. Should be some good matchups. You got Incarnate Word heading back to South Dakota State. They played earlier in the year. South Dakota State won that game 45-24. Part of me wants to say Incarnate Word with a second bite of the apple might play them a little closer. I think they may play them a little differently. May have to with the weather. Then this other side of me says South Dakota State, you give them a second bite, they tend to, really, pour it on. But, Incarnate Word is playing pretty good defense, and they have really most of the year since early in the year. And I think that if they, kind of retool what they do on offense, they might be able to make that game a little bit closer, a little bit tighter. I don't think they have any chance to win, but got a chance there. And then what are the other games, Robbie, as we take a look at it? I'm not looking at the bracket.
UC Davis. They're going to take on, I don't have it in front of me either, Mark. Mercer.
Yeah, hang on. Let me pull this up here. I had it and I lost it. So
I'll go ahead. While you pull it up, Mark, I just want to say that this is a great weekend for FCS football. You kind of have the post-championship game weekend in FBS. You only have Army-Navy this weekend. So you get a lot of attention we put on those FCS games. And the new world now, the bowl games would always start in that third weekend of December. That's still going to be the case this year, and the FCS playoffs kind of was kind of mixed into those games. They do a Friday night game, and they would do a Friday night game in the semis, and then one Saturday game. But now you're going to have the college football playoffs that's going to have their games those days, and that'll kind of overshadow FCS football. So this is kind of FCS football's weekend to shine, I think, here with their 4 different games to see who's going to be going on.
It is, but it's a good product, I think. As I said, I had it and I lost it again. Give me a second, I'll bring it back. But basically, I would say the FCS product or the brand has gotten a lot better. And I know people will say, "Well, no, what happened? You had, App State and James Madison, all those schools have moved up." But I really do think the Dakotas, being as strong as they are, Montana State's really good. UC Davis is a program that's starting to emerge. I mean, it's a big budget school on the West Coast with about 40,000 students or wherever they have. And they're starting to emerge. And in South Dakota's, on the way up. And then, of course, you've got Tarleton, who's moved up and, putting 20,000 people a week in their stadium. And they're a good-looking team on TV. And, when you watch them play, although, I think we had a chance to win over there in really the last 2 years. UIW. I mean, so the portal has added talent, and I think it's going to continue to add talent because, there's going to be a lot of guys out there. And I think if you hit on the right guys, you got a chance to make some noise. But, going back over the schedule here, Robbie, as we take a look at it, Idaho plays, as you mentioned, Montana State. Again, I just don't think Idaho's got enough playing on the road. UC Davis at South Dakota, I kind of like UC Davis in that ball game. That's going to be close. Again, I thought Tarleton had a chance to win. And then on Saturday, where are my Saturday games here? I'll find them. Hang on here. Incarnate Word, South Dakota State. We talked about that one. I just don't think the Cardinals going to have a chance in that one. I think they'll keep it closer, but it's 11 a.m. start. I just don't see them winning that game. And of course, Mercer's North Dakota State. Mercer does some things well, but I just don't think they're going to be able to score in that ball game. I like North Dakota State big. So that's kind of your matchups this week.
All right, FCS playoffs rolling along. We'll talk about the semifinals next week. And then the championship game in Frisco. Also note, looks like there's some construction going to be going on in Frisco at the stadium the FCS championship's been at, so they're going to be moving that. I know there's a few different venues that will be bidding. I've heard Nashville, Vanderbilt's new stadium is going to be one to look at. So we hope that the Lions find their way to that venue at some point, or any of them in this FCS playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, you just never know. And again, we talked about, this year, honestly, would have been probably a good year, if it just would have matched up, but you just never know when you get in the right bracket, you can make a run. I think with the portal, the way it is now, you've got a chance to add, and you've got to go, you got to find the thing that wins and the separator. And I heard Nick Saban talk about this at the FBS level, and it is true at the FCS level. And the teams that win championships, they win it in the trenches. The teams that can win and sustain, whoever's the best at the line of scrimmage in the postseason typically wins. And we've seen that play out in FCS. The teams that are better, Southeastern's had great skill with Cole Kelly and, plethora of wide receivers. We've seen Sam Houston. We've seen teams like that match up against those Dakota teams, those Montana teams with the big physical offensive and defensive linemen, the big length, and just get smothered. And so I think with the portal, you've got a chance to, maybe mix and match and find some pieces and do something, because again, there's going to be so many players available out there. But one day it's going to happen. I don't know when. Hopefully, we're still around to see it. But you talked about the bidding process going out here for the next 2 years while construction's going on. I just don't see how anybody's going to be able to top Nashville and Vandy. I mean, there's some some people in the mix, but it's going to be hard to beat Vandy. Nashville, West End, Nashville. There, it's not far away downtown, and it's a fun town, and it's in the South. It's kind of close to everything. You can get there from the upper Midwest pretty easily. The Southern teams can get there. It just makes sense.
Yeah,
Central time zone.
Nashville airport's exploded. I mean, they're taking flights in from all over the place. So, really easy for most fans to get into.
And I would argue that once they get it, if they want to keep it, it's going to be some competition for Frisco. I would think, if they wanted to keep it. And again, you never know what's going to happen. I think the design is 2 years and come back. But again, how that goes. Chattanooga, they gave it up a year to Frisco and they never left.
Right.
So it's been there since. But those things tend to, over time, run their course and find their way somewhere else. And again, that'd be a great opportunity to, move it around a little bit.
All right, Mark, great job. A lot of good stuff going on by Line Athletics. We'll talk to you next week. We'll update you on hoops. We'll talk maybe some more football, update the FCS playoffs, and get you ready for kind of a Christmas, New Year's break, and get ready for 2025. A lot of excitement coming up. For Mark Willoughby, I'm Robbie Rhodes. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Lions fans, Mark Willoughby here. Before we sign off, I've got something really important I want to talk about, and that is lineupcollective.com. You see it above my head here. That's lineupcollective.com. And I know we've all done it. We've all sat at the ballpark, at the field, playing field, on our couch, watching the game on TV, thinking, how can we support Southeastern athletics, Southeastern athletes directly? How can we build champions? And how can you do it that's legal, NCAA approved? And now there's a way, because in today's landscape of college athletics, players are being paid now, and just the NCAA allows fans to pool resources together to help support our student athletes. And then we can do that through lineupcollective.com. So go into your favorite web browser, lineupcollective.com, and then you'll see this link right over here. It says support an athlete today. Click on that. It'll take you to a menu where you can put in your credit card information, select an amount, and then a sport that you would like to donate to. And it could be one sport, two sports, the entire department. That's your choice, but that's the place to do it. And again, it's really easy. But we have to do this together. We're not blessed in Hammond, America, with tons of corporate industry and wealthy billionaires that can just write a check to athletics in big numbers. So we got to do this together. $5 adds up, $10 adds up, 100, 1,000. If you're able and you feel led to do it, then by all means, go to Line Up Collective. It's the Christmas season. We're all in the giving spirit, and we all want to help Southeastern. So we'll see you in 2025 on the playing fields and on the courts. And until then, Merry Christmas and line up, everybody.